Golf's no different from hockey. Requires talent, self-discipline.
Golf requires goofy pants and a fat ass. You should talk to my neighbor, the accountant, probably a great golfer, huge ass.
How do you measure yourself with other golfers? By height.
It's a very, very special honor.
I'm Paula Creamer, and you're listening.
Well, we're waiting.
Hi, this is Martin Cove, a.k.a. John Kreese from Cobra Kai, and you're listening to
Quiet, Please.
Let the word go out from here across the land. Let Daddy Noonan approve.
Hi, boys. Nice day for golf, eh? Quiet, please. Oh, you got secrets, eh?
Hey, this is Shooter McGavin. You're listening to the...
Hey, you guys. Hey, we're trying to have a podcast over here.
Welcome once again to Quiet Please, the golf podcast. I am Alan Depew, and as always, I am joined in our virtual living room here with experts across the game. Joining me, as always, I got the full house today. All seats are taken. To my left, B.E., the author, writer, instructor, all things golf, Mr. Brendan Elliott. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm going to skip the next one and go down to the golfing savant from Houston, Andy Hydorn.
Nice to be back with this fearsome fivesome.
Expecting brisk play. Keep the pace of play moving today, Andy. Yeah. Bobby Baldessari from Bourbon Country.
And we're calling Andy 66 from now on. 66. Route 66.
And you saw him in Bourbon Country last week if you watched the show, but he's back in Charlotte, the prettiest podcaster, Kristen.
Did you skip over me earlier? You said I got to skip over someone. Was that me?
I always save you to last because
Kristen, there's a reason they call it the cleanup hitter.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So Andy's got dinner plans, so we got to keep this brief.
It doesn't have to be brief. It just has to be on time.
Oh, okay. So
play one ready.
If I snap one in the hazard, I'm just dropping and going. Is that what we're deciding?
Local rules today.
Local rules are in effect tonight. Anything going on in golf this past week, BE?
No. You said it's going to be a tough show, so I'm going to follow your lead.
Well, we might as well get our points in, Christian, before Andy starts leaning in. He has thoughts. Or Bobby. You know what, Bobby? I'll tell you what. Let's go right here. Let's do this. Throw it out. Bait on the water. Boston Bob's brain teaser. What you got? You said you had a good one this week.
Well, interesting, historical. It's always really fascinating. But we have the Valero Texas Open coming up. Began in 1922. To begin with, anybody remember the first winner, the inaugural winner in 1922?
Horton Smith.
Pretty good guess.
Thank you.
The inaugural winner of the Texas Open?
22.
Yeah, 1922.
That's a great question.
It's got a great Irish name, or a classic.
Okay.
I couldn't find any record of what the winning score was, but this gentleman won $1,500. And I'll get back to him in a second.
Damn.
Yeah.
Danny O'Toole.
Actually, Robert McDonald.
Robert McDonald. I didn't know him well.
But check this out. So Mr. McDonald wins at 22. Look at the list of the next. I could keep rolling, but Walter Hagen wins it next. Then Joe Kirkwood, Joe Terneza, McDonald Smith, Bobby Cruikshank, Bill Melhorn twice, Denny Shute, Abe Espinoza, Whiffy Cox, Byron Nelson, Lawson Little, Chuck Hebert, Johnny Revolta, like great names. Great names.
All of them. I know all those names.
Like just really, really cool. But I was looking this up because I was curious about who won the most Valero Texas Opens. Different name, had different branding. Two gentlemen, pretty prominent names. One, a prominent Texan, won it 3 times. The other is the King, won it 3 times. Little hint.
Only 3 times?
Byron Nelson.
Byron?
Nope.
Jimmy DeMeritt.
How about Jimmy DeMeritt?
Nope.
Jackie Burke.
A newer prominent Texas golfer.
Ben Crenshaw.
He's kind of right in the middle, or
Tom
Okay.
Kite.
a little later. He made a putt.
Steve Elkington.
He made a putt?
He made a putt at the country club.
Oh, Mr. Justin Leonard.
Justin Leonard.
3. Wow.
He would have only been my 51st guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's a quick little, here's a level set of the financial, what's happened on the PGA Tour. So Arnold Palmer wins this 3 times in 1960, 61, and 62. His total winnings 3 times, back to back to back, 11,400 total winnings. Last year, tied for 65th, Taylor Dixon and Patton Kazar won $20,520.
So we won 3 times for
Less than-
11 grand.
Yep.
Total. And then
So let me get this right. 1,500 to Mr. McDonald in 22. The Roaring 20s. And then Arnie only pulls down basically 4K event for in the 60s. 40 years of inflation.
Yep. And then this is my point. Yeah. And then you take that and you go from the 60s to basically a good 40 years. Justin Leonard. Justin Leonard's total was 1.818 million.
I'm shocked that nobody's won the Texas Open more than 3 times.
Yeah.
Being such a long-standing event, and all the great Texans who have, played professional golf, it just seems like somebody would have won that a bunch.
Yeah, it was interesting looking at the numbers, and that's when they talk about career money. It's all whacked up. It's tough to go by that.
Has it always fallen on the calendar about this time, like a lead up to Augusta, or is that?
Nah, kind of all over the place. Yeah. Some years no tournament, like when the World War were going on.
I want to say they had it at Champions a couple of times.
I think so.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a teaser. That was a teaser, Bobby.
Good one.
Christian, in the background, you will see the sign point to all different points pointing regarding Augusta. Who will not be taking any directions to Augusta is one TW. Let's go there. Let's get it on. Let's have the conversation.
Is that too soon?
What say you, sir?
I don't even know where to start with Tiger. I feel terrible for him because he's been dealing with this for years. I'm shocked that he never got the treatment before he just released his news. However, when you deal with a addiction, it's hard to just wake up and admit that you have some problem with you, or people never want to admit that they have issues with themselves because of being let down. He's been in the public figure since he was in his teens, and I feel very bad for him and his family, and I feel worse for his kids that they have, like Charlie, and that they have to see his dad in this type of atmosphere, because they that's not Tiger, I don't think, at home. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, I have no clue, but I feel for him. I'm glad he's getting the treatment that he needs and rightfully deserves. And hopefully he'll come back from this. And, I think there's more stuff problems moving forward with the tour and what he gets able to do with Ryder Cups moving forward until he gets healthy.
B, I'm going to come. Actually, you're batting cleanup this time because I have great accolades for your article. Bobby, what's your thoughts on TW?
I want to pass. I want to go right. I was just thinking the same thing. Brendan wrote a really brilliant article. I want to give him the time.
All right. Well, then Andy, we know Andy will lean in. So BE, here's my thoughts on your article. It was extremely balanced, and look at the entire picture of TW. My compliments for anybody that wants to find it. Please, here, shout out time. Tell them where they can find it because it's worth a read.
I appreciate that.
Before you go, Brendan, let me just say this. To describe your article in one word is responsible. I think you did a great job kind of being fair, but being real. And you showed a tremendous amount of responsibility. So kudos to you.
I appreciate
I'll tell you what, either one of us two we'll post it up on our socials. How's that?
And I did a follow-up one today since he announced, actually it was yesterday, since he announced what he did yesterday. But one of the themes of what I wrote was, the overarching theme was what Christian said, is the attitude we should take is kind of what Anthony Kim said. It should be supportive. And this is not just a problem among a famous person or famous people that get put in these situations. If you look at the data that talks about addiction, especially this kind of addiction, it's a major, major problem in our country. And there's a lot of people at fault, but like Christian said, one of the hardest things for anybody to do that has any kind of problem, whether it be addiction or whether it be, there's some parallels I see with what Gary Woodland's going through, where you got to get to the point where you can admit that you have a problem in order to solve those problems. And that's hard for anybody, but when you got a guy like Tiger Woods who's under the microscope all the time since he was a teenager, that carries a ton of weight of admitting that he has a problem. So I'm sure that goes through his head, spinning through his head all the time. And I don't know. I just feel like the bigger story to me after the dust settled initially was what a messed up society we live in, when people feel that they can throw the stones at the glass house and make the memes and all this stuff. And especially among media, it's very disappointing. Like with Barstool, the leader of Barstool, I can't stand that guy. And I hope he watches this, because I hope Dave never needs any sympathy from anybody for anything that he goes through in his life. And I'm not absolving Tiger. I said that in both the articles I wrote. What he did was wrong. Thank God nothing happened to him, let alone anybody else, right? So I'm not trying to paint over that part of this. But what is disgusting to me is we kick people when they're down for clicks, for people to buy our magazines or buy our newspapers. It's not just this situation. And I've talked about this before. I've talked about this during the Ryder Cup, how sports writers, not all, there's a lot of good sports writers out there, so I don't want to paint a broad brush on that, but they like to stir stuff up, and we get why. It's to pay the bills. I get that. But I've chose from day one, since I started writing, to not take that approach, because that's not what any of us would hope would be the case for us if we're struggling.
And it also it puts it in perspective too, that you never know what people are going through.
Yeah.
Period. Seriously, people could be going through a whole bunch of different things and scenarios. And obviously, Tiger, this isn't his first incident. I hope it's his last. But again, when you deal with something like this, an addiction like that he's gone through and dealt with for many years so far, it ain't going to be easy for him to go back to normal life. It's going to be, it's just a long, I think we're talking years until we see Tiger back to where Tiger wants to be. And you can kiss golf goodbye, in my opinion, him playing on any type of tour moving forward. And I think that he'll still be around the game. I don't think we'll ever see Tiger Woods back on a golf course, if I'm being honest with you.
And let me add this too. You guys know I've missed the last couple of shows. I was there front and center with him, the semifinals of TGL's playoffs, and then the first match of the finals. And I was so excited for him, especially after he teed it up in that second match. I was so excited. He looked like in the press room and when I got to go down on the field, he looked happy. He looked like, he enjoyed being with those guys. And I think he was gonna make a run at teeing it up again. But the more I've thought about what's transpired, this is the best thing. Not what happened necessarily, but the fact that he now has to make the hardest decision he's ever made in his life. and to fix the problems that he's failed to fix many times in the past.
Yeah. So go ahead, Chris.
No, the one last thing. I think it's the best decision he's going to ever make, if I'm being honest with you. I think getting the help that he deserves and the help that he rightfully needs is going to be the best decision for him and his family.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was his decision, but
no.
True. I agree with that. Yeah.
But look, the thing that I'll say at the outset here is, you say that you don't think you'll ever see him play golf again. I think if this didn't happen, all that bullshit about him coming back and playing, it never would have happened.
No.
There's a lot of people who attest to the fact that he's had a bad problem for quite a long time. And I think that this is possibly the catalyst for him to get back out on the golf course.
I think so.
Albeit as a senior golfer. But I think this is his opportunity to do that. And I think it's great. And look, I don't really, I have a lot of empathy for him, and for nobody knows what his life is like and what he's gone through and all that other stuff. The surgeries, just the bizarre world that he grew up in. Like, nobody knows any of that stuff. So I do have empathy for him there. The thing that I have a little bit of bitterness towards is how the world around him has enabled him, right? Including the cops in Pacific Palisades when he rolled his vehicle and crushed his leg. Like, they didn't even test him for anything. And look, that's irresponsible. It's dangerous. I mean, he's lucky that this particular incident didn't involve any injuries, right? I mean, it could have been disastrous. And this is kind of the perfect scenario for him, hopefully, to once and for all get his life together, look in the mirror and be honest, and potentially have a future of doing the things that he loves to do. I just think him playing golf with his status quo as it was a smokescreen. Like, he was never going to do it just because his life didn't ever allow him to be that sort of competitive player again. So to me, again, I'm really disappointed at the enabling and frankly the privilege given to somebody of fame and wealth to not have to deal with some of the casualties of being involved in some of those incidents where any regular person would have had to face the law and deal with the consequences, and he didn't. So I look forward to Tiger now, and I've said this on the show before. I'm sick and tired of listening to the Tigers coming back talk, because in my mind, he was never coming back. Now, I think he's got a chance.
Wasn't it reported, and I can't remember where I read this, that he was going to be signing up for the U.S. Senior?
I think he registered, yeah.
He registered, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He is a medical doctor friend of mine. I've seen this in a couple spots, and there's going to be a lot of commentary on doctors looking at doctors that enabled a Tiger, a Matthew Perry, a Michael Jackson. I mean, the list goes on and on. It goes back to Roman times, I think, of enabling people with money and power.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. You see it all the time in courtrooms and in life. And so, like that, whoever these doctors are, they need to go to jail to begin with. A couple of things I was thinking about was with Tiger doing what he's going to do now. If he would have said, a week ago, every kid should eat strawberry ice cream, strawberry ice cream probably would skyrocket. Like Tiger, for the good, the bad, the whatever, he's going to be somebody that kids are going to look up to, people will look up to. And so this could really actually, Andy, your point earlier, like this could really, really help a lot of people say, wow, Tiger's admitting I had an issue. I have to address it. There's been some documentation on that. Somebody of prominence does something, gets help, and people look up to them and they go, wow, geez, I need to look at myself. The other thing that kept, the two words that kept running around in my head the last couple of days it's like, what if, what if something happened, somebody's killed, but also like the whole Tiger, what if, what if things didn't go off the tracks with him multiple times? What if, like,
oh, I agree, Bobby. Yeah, I mean, to me, I feel sorry for him. I think I put in our text exchange that it's a Greek tragedy in a way. The what if is, I've said before, in a much lesser reason, a personal choice. I'm upset with Cam Smith because he robbed a talent, but this is the greatest potentially golfer ever, and what he could have been is as a golf fan, purely as a golf fan. Wow. And didn't he stand up on a podium once? I mean, Andy, I know you leaned in. I will respect that in a moment. But he stood up at a podium before and said, I'm going to get help. And I know people fail.
Yep.
I've actually sat. Okay. I won't tell you why, but I sat in a seminar one time about drug use, opiate, and what have you, and BE, to your point, the percentages, the increases in the last decade is staggering of the deaths of opiate and fentanyl and what have you, and whatever the case. I'm not saying Tiger was any of those things, although there's been questions.
Well, the opiates thing, he
apparently had had a couple in his. He
had a hydrocodone on him, yeah.
Yeah, but it's the dude's got to get himself right for himself. He's got a new baby on the way. I mean, come on, man.
How much do you think Charlie influenced that decision? I'm thinking of it right now as we're talking.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you Charlie looked at him in the face and said, I don't want somebody super close to him. And who's closer to him than his kids?
He did not have a choice in this deal.
He
didn't have a choice. This was so bad, so egregious, so repetitive that, they pulled back the curtain. And it wasn't a decision. It was,
I agree.
This is what you're doing.
Roll your car in a 25 mile an hour street, or maybe 35 at the most. Come on.
It's a blessing in disguise that nobody got hurt, and it's that especially him as well. I mean, you saw the pictures of him talking on the phone right after, but this could have been a lot worse, and thank God it wasn't. So, I think it's just. I'm hoping that he just gets the help that he needs, and then he can come back, prove me wrong better than ever. So
to your point, so your comment and about responsible journalism, maybe lost in America, except for you, of course. You have one other person under the Barstool label. We will defend Tiger forever. And I mean, before we hit play, Andy and I were talking about how, Frankie was just like, whoa, Riggs, come on, man, what are you doing?
Oh, Riggs said that?
Oh, yeah, as soon as it happened.
Oh.
We'll defend him forever.
Yeah, Mr. 4 handicap. Okay.
Well, why wouldn't they defend him? He's been a friend of the show. He's been on the show. It's like, one other thing I want to say on this whole deal is that, they say about addiction is one of the collateral damage pieces that comes with addiction, whether it's gambling or porn or, drugs, whatever it is. It takes away from the rest of your life. You don't have time. Mm-hmm. It's a distraction, right? You don't have time to do your job. You don't have time to be a good husband. You don't have time to dedicate to golf. And my sources at Medalist tell me he hasn't been around at all this year. Like, not at all. That's his club. That's his club. So, he can talk all he wants about, I'm coming back, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I'm sure he goes to other places and can work on his game. I get that. But at his home club, yeah, he's not. And if he's intoxicated at 2:00 on a Tuesday, then, that's distracting him from doing some of the other things in his life.
One of the points that I made too, and I'm just thinking about this now, talks to a larger issue that we have, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but it seems like everybody thinks you have to be on one side or the other. And that's not true. Like, because I support Tiger in his efforts to get better, I had so many people post stuff that said, why are you defending? I'm not defending the guy. I said that I don't absolve him of any of the wrongdoings he's ever done. So you can have that feeling and also feel sorry for somebody and hope that they get help. And it's very disappointing that we have to, when anything comes up, we have to get in our corner and take our side. And that's a larger issue beyond some of the other stuff that I addressed.
100%. Couldn't agree with that more.
I mean, just look at the week coming up. I mean, obviously, him taking care of himself is first and foremost, but he had a whole slate of activities coming up. Yeah. The patch, the loop was getting ready to open. He was going to be coming back up to making an appearance at Augusta. May or may not have been playing. There was another one that he was coming off TGL, then Success, I think. Second year of TGL was far superior than the first. There were so many positives.
That's because you just watched it for the first time.
I did. I did watch it for the first time. Yes.
Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
No, I don't have anything else to say now, Andy. That's all I got. Thanks.
My pleasure.
But to Christian's point, you don't know what's behind, going on behind somebody's eyes.
Yeah, you don't. And you know what? Again, you have hope now. And until you make this decision, you can say you have hope for things in your life, but you have no chance. And now where there's hope, there's chance as well.
Yeah, that was good that he registered for the U.S. Senior Open. I wasn't aware of that, but, when I first heard about this, I was like, man, I was wondering, like, is what Christian said, is he really ever going to come back and play? And then the more I was thinking about it, I was like, I could see him just really getting straight, hopefully really getting back on track. And then the ultimate competitor saying, I got one more in me. And, a senior major is a major. You're still going to play against really, really top competition. It's historic. It's a history. It's not a regular tour event. So I thought, I can see him coming back for senior majors. And maybe, like, literally, who the hell knows if he'd win at Augusta.
I believe he will, and I hope this too, but he will have a new appreciation for the good things in life. And the good things in life for him, especially, are competing and doing well at golf, right? Like, I think he'll hopefully re-fall in love with the game, and it's all good to watch him.
I just had this thought. Holy cow. It'll have to be one of those Hollywood script with the years, like, I don't know, the round, even nice year number. But he comes back, Charlie caddies for him, a la 86 with Jack and Jackie Jr., and he wins at Augusta. Walks in the sunset.
No, Chris Gotterup's going to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the last thing I'll say on the topic, and I don't mean this in any negative way, I hope that when the tournament, like Valero this week, and same goes for the Masters, that they don't focus their attention more of the Masters on Tiger every single day to take away from the Masters. What he did, when he's getting the treatment and help that he needs to get done. But when it comes to the tournament itself, people are tuning in to watch the Masters every single day for the next.
I predict you're not going to hear boo about
maybe or maybe not. I'm just saying, in typical, like, when Tiger usually has gotten in the news in the previous years, it's people, they nonstop talk about it, and that's fine. I'm just saying, from a standpoint of, like, when the Masters is approaching next week, I just don't want it to come, take away from that. I feel like too many times majors get overlooked at times, and those are 4 of the top tournaments of the year. And I just didn't want it to be overshadowed by that.
Again, I don't think there's anything to talk about, right? It's all out on the table. And I agree with you that would be annoying. to have too much talk about that. But I predict there's not going to be much.
Where that came from, though, and Andy, we talked about it last year during the Masters, or maybe it was the year prior. But all I'm saying, like when Tiger's out of contention, all they did was show him, and I didn't care that he was 13 over par.
That's a different thing, though.
I know, but it's the Tiger effect. Do you know what I mean?
It's a different.
I'd rather watch
right.
guys who are contending at Augusta or a normal tournament instead of watching Tiger's 5 over.
Right, but there's a difference between wanting to show the masses Tiger hitting shots,
absolutely,
versus talking about Tiger's problems.
True.
Tiger will still be brought. Christian, I agree with what you're saying. Tiger will still be brought up for those same reasons I mentioned. The loop and the initiatives of Augusta National taking place, they're going to highlight those during the telecast, wouldn't you think, B.E.?
Oh, yeah, without question. He was a big part of that. And I feel bad for the Masters Tournament Committee and everybody involved with that project, that they'll have to, under the circumstances, they'll have to bring it up and mention him. And hopefully, if it's within the media, they control the media very, very well at Augusta. So there won't be any questions asked that are derogatory in any way.
I know one golfer who's playing at the Masters next week.
Well, I was just about to say, Christian, this would be an ideal opportunity. I may not be thinking of the same golfer that you are, but Bobby, Gary Woodland.
You were thinking great minds think alike. All right. Your shoulder turns a lot less than mine, but great minds think alike.
There's the reference. There's the reference at 31 minutes and 45 seconds. I appreciate it.
I got video proof that I'm flying at 300 in front of my bourbon brother. All right.
Christian's usually there to bring back that.
Where's the mute? Where's Christian's mute? All right. Great story, right, Bobby? I mean, here's the other end of golf and why we love the game. Gary Woodland.
Woodland coming back from serious health issues, obviously the brain surgery, and then fighting the mental side of life in general. I mean, just really, like, I was just saying, it's almost Hollywoodish kind of thing with this soon coming back winning. I mean, it's just a great, great story. Another person that I think will do a lot, probably already is doing a lot to people in the same situation, mental health wise, that are struggling. And even in this Kentucky section, I'm working with KBC Kentucky, who is our main charity for our LPGA Senior Tour event. I'm working to get this. We've already had 3 seminars about mental health, burnout, stress with PGA pros, the day-to-day life. And I'm trying to take this on a national level with the PGA of America. So like my radar's up all the time on this. Whatever I see, it's coming up on my emails, everything I watch, like almost every single day, something's happening. I keep an eye on it. But things like this where somebody can break through, I think it's tremendous. And I think it really can help a lot of people.
I think that the breakthrough came because of that interview you did with Rex a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I mean, you have to, when people start talking about things and not holding it in or keeping it behind closed doors, it doesn't just help that individual. For a guy like Woodland, or we can even think Tiger when he starts to do his recovery, that is a massive thing for a lot of people. And when you're talking about PTSD, I mean, he's big with Folds of Honor. This really speaks to that and what they do for so many people, not just military, but first responders and people that struggle like this. Phenomenal. And not just that side of the story. He played freaking amazing. Like his golf was so good.
I think what most impressed me was his club and ball speed. Honestly. Yeah. With some of the movement that he had in his swing, and I'm ecstatic for Gary. I mean, he's probably one of the most likable guys on tour, and his story and what he's been through and able to overcome and come back and win that tournament. I think it was so inspirational for him, but it was also words can't describe it for what him and his family have been through, right? And I think it's unbelievable. I'm just ecstatic for him at the end of the day.
That 360, I happened to walk through the golf shop, hits at 360. His speed exceeded beefed up Bryson days.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah, I don't think it was a very popular win amongst his peers.
Really?
No, that's sarcasm.
It's April 1st.
April Fools.
April Fools. That's right. I mean, did you see Minwoo Lee walking up the 18th fairway? Like, there's a few weeks a year where you get some great stories like that. And this was definitely one of them.
I mean, he there was a story when he was helping with the Ryder Cup that he was struggling during a practice round with the guys, and he wanted to check out. And this caddy said, "Hey, you want to go in?" He goes, "No, I'm here for these guys, and I'm going to push through this." And look, for somebody that's gone through some major panic and anxiety over the years, I applaud him for doing what he did for the Ryder Cup team and being that person that they could look up to. And again, I think this is just going to help so many people the more that we talk about stuff like this, because you don't have to go too far back when the worst case scenario happened on the PGA Tour with somebody that's having these same types of struggles. So there's always a silver lining and always good that comes out of bad. And I just think what he did and the fact that he's coming into Augusta, you know, with a real shot. I really think if he hits the ball like he did in Texas, I really think that complements that golf course in Augusta.
Well, I think he makes the course shorter, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, especially on those ball speeds that he had and some of those holes that he'll be able to really take advantage of, honestly. But I think what also mostly surprised me with how good his short game was too.
Yeah.
I thought that was probably the best that it's looked. I think it looked better than when he won the U.S. Open, if I'm being honest, or comparable to it, I should say.
He did indicate that during one of his press interviews that he gave that there was a time where the galleries pushed in on his personal security as well as the course marshals, and he fought through it. Yeah. God bless him.
I'd be totally interested to understand about his PTSD. Sorry. I like where it originates from, and like I would just be super interested, because you would think that while there's other issues to deal with when you've had brain surgery, like what is it that gives him PTSD, you know?
It's just fear, and it's unfounded, and we know, you know, I say we because like I said, I've dealt with it pretty bad. Not PTSD, but anxiety, which is all in the same bucket.
Yeah.
But you don't know why it happens. You just know that it happens, and it's scary, and anything can. You attach anything to it. If you have an episode when you're in a restaurant, you'll never want to go to a restaurant again. If you have an episode on the golf course, going to the golf course becomes very, very difficult. And you don't know why. You have no idea why.
Yeah, I'm just ecstatic for him. I think it was the best win so far, in my opinion, on the tour, and that's going to be a hard win for people unless, like, Scotty wins the U.S. Open this year. That's going to go down as the best win on tour all season, in my opinion.
We're on about 17th fairway, and we need to get. I want to get this piece of news in because you were so instrumental. Drive, chip, and putt. The women you'd mentioned before we had clicked record. The amateur at Augusta National, the women's amateur. There's more than this. Is where Augusta's stepped up and taking its role. Any thoughts? Because you lived it and breathed it.
Yeah, I've told a lot of people this for many, many years. The members at Augusta National are as proud as anything with drive, chip, and putt and what they're doing with the women's amateur. Like they're just they want to talk about that for a lot, and then I belong to this club. I mean, it's a sense of pride, it's a sense of purpose for them. It's trying to do something. The phrase which we all cringed or grow the game type of thing, but. I mean, I helped start Drive Chip and Putt, would run it for nationally. What I saw, all these kids that went through that are now winning PGA Tour events, winning LPGA Tour events, thriving in the game of golf. I mean, it's really neat to see that. Some of the kids, I mean, you never know the trajectories. You just never know in any sport. And then for the women amateur, just, what a treat to play even that last round there. What Augusta's doing. They think out so far ahead, I will tell you that. And they think and they think and they deliberate and they plan. But when they're ready to go, it is bang. And they pretty much bat 1,000.
So just clear me up on how they do the Augusta National Women's Amateur. I think they play 2 rounds at like
Champions Retreat,
right?
Yep.
And then they give the players who make the cut a practice round at Augusta, right?
Yep.
And then they play the day after.
Yep.
That's pretty unique.
Yeah.
And pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very
cool. One of the harder cuts to make or want to make, make. But yeah, it's really neat. I'm aware. I knew many, many years ago what Augusta was doing basically with the patch. So I inside info on that. But if I tell you right now, there's these 40-year plans, and I'm aware of a little bit of them, it would blow your mind. It would. Our numbers may go up, Alan, if I start talking about it.
You'll get a cease and desist.
I was going to say so many the lawsuits. so hey, right. 18th green. Final thoughts. Where's my button? There it is, right there. Boom. We're starting with Christian.
Final thoughts for me personally are I'm very excited for next week. It's one of my favorite tournaments of the year. I'm going to stick with my Brooks pick. That Brooks will be hoisting that green jacket, or putting on the green jacket, I should say, at the end of next week. But maybe I'll change my mind. I don't know. I'm not a betting guy, but I will say that I always look at odds, obviously. But on a more serious note, though, obviously, if people are going through something, then you don't know what people are going through. So going back to BE's point earlier, it's just things that you read online. Don't be an ass. Just be nice to people. And I wish people would take that more seriously instead of just being, a-holes to other people and so forth and stuff like that. So I wish Tiger gets a speedy recovery and gets back to doing what he did so well for so many years.
Bobby?
I got a few quick things. Congrats to Andy Heidorn, shooting 66 in his lowest competitive round. Amazing. Like Stella, like wicked awesome.
Hell yeah, big bro.
That was awesome. Real quick, I came up with a new teaching aid, and so far I've had a few thousand people try it, and everybody's seen the ball dead straight, so I'm pretty ready to put a patent on that.
I actually have a great patent lawyer for you.
And then, I'll leave you with this, another little fun historical thing, because I was on our golf course. We're setting up for the 60th anniversary of the Woodford Club. We have some events the next 2 days. I'm out on the course with Chris Scott, who's one of the guys I work with, and I couldn't help myself, but because he kept saying a few times, like, we got to put different tees out on the tee box, on the tee box, on the tee box. So finally I said, hey, Chris, actually it's a very Americanized version of a golf term that goes back to Scotland. Do you know what a tee box is? And he goes, yeah, where you put the tee marks. I go, it's not a tee box. It's the teeing ground to begin with. But a tee box was an actual thing. We had a PGA of America's Museum of Golf, and it was an actual structure with 4 legs, and it had dirt in there, and supposed to put a little water in, and that's how you made your tee box. They put them on the tee where you started the hole over in Scotland. So he's like, wow. I said, go win a beer.
A bonus Boston Bob brain teaser for everybody today.
Exactly.
Andy Heidorn.
So I love golf instruction. I love the topic. I love all the information that floats around, and I'm a big believer that lessons are a waste of time and coaching is everything. I saw something so cool this week about Gary Woodland and Randy Smith. And they got reacquainted. They used to work together a long time ago. And Randy Smith told Gary Woodland, stop being so soft. Okay. And what he meant by that is you're guiding the ball around the golf course. And such an amazingly simple but powerful piece of advice. Like that's a Butch Harmonism if I've ever heard one, right? And it's just an amazing thing to point out to somebody. And you guys know, and I think we mentioned it, Christian, you mentioned, some of the shots that Woodland was hitting. He's the second longest hitter on tour right now. His numbers are off the charts. And I just think it's awesome that something so simple and something so grounded in words was able to make such a difference for him.
I'm going to let you wrap it up tonight, but I'm going to chime in with, we did not do this because no Andy Hydorn, Bryson and Rom are not coming back to the tour today. That was an April Fool's show.
It's April Fool's.
And my other thought for the day is, with the approach of Augusta, everybody's favorite week of a golfers of the year, remember there is no peeing in Rays Creek. BE, bring us home.
Keep going. Couple things real quick. Super proud of the golf annual that came back out, the print edition for Athlon Sports. You can pick it up at newsstands, grocery stores, order online. It was still, even with everything that happened with T-Dubs, it was still pretty damn cool to have him sign the first print magazine that I've ever had the honor of writing in, and additionally having the cover story about him and his 50th. So that was pretty cool. I do want to make note, is my video fades in and out here. That looks cool. I do want to make note, I've been doing a lot of work for the Golf Heritage Society, doing a lot of writing, and it's forced me to get back into the history of the game, which I really had a deep appreciation for, but kind of lost it. And there's really good stuff that I'm putting out there on their blog. So check out the Golf Heritage Society website, go to the blog section and read some of the stuff I do. Each week, the theme's kind of centered around whatever the tour event is. So I got some cool collectible stuff and history stuff that has to do with Hogan this week with them being in Texas. And check out the joining the Golf Heritage Society, because they have a promo right now where the Making of the Masters book, really, really cool book. They're giving that away free when you join as a member through the end of next week, through the end of the Masters.
Great stuff. Christian, hit it long and straight.
Because it beats you hitting it short and crooked.
Thank you so much. Dinner bell's ringing, Andy.